Today, we dive deep into Zimbabwe's political and economic reality. Are the fuel stations run by a corruption syndicate? Why are civil servants receiving salaries in a currency that some say doesn't really exist? Is the opposition ready to govern? And most importantly, is Nelson Chamisa returning to shake the system again? Let's break it all down. Honorable Job Wiwa Sikhala is not a stranger to Zimbabwean politics. A fearless opposition voice and former MP, Sikhala spent over 500 days in prison without trial. He was jailed not for violence, but for daring to speak the truth. Recently, Sikhala echoed a sentiment voiced by activist and political commentator Blessed Bombshell Geza, that Zimbabwe's fuel service stations are controlled by a powerful corruption syndicate. According to Sikhala, this group operates under what he calls the Zvigananda Coalition. He said, and I quote, "Blessed Bombshell Geza seems to be correct that the fuel service stations are being run by the corruption syndicate team under the umbrella of the Zvigananda Coalition." Let's pause. What is the Zvigananda Coalition? Who is part of it? What power do they really have? Zvigananda is a term being used to describe the informal alliance of elites, business cartels, corrupt officials, and possibly even some state security elements who control major industries in Zimbabwe: fuel, forex, and even food. This coalition, according to critics like Geza and Sikhala, operates with impunity, enriching itself while ordinary Zimbabweans suffer. What is the ZIG? Narrator. In April 2024, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe introduced a new currency called the ZIG, short for Zimbabwe Gold. This currency was supposed to be backed by gold and foreign currency reserves, but by June 2025, its value is already in question. ZERA, the Zimbabwe Energy Regulatory Authority, has reportedly said it's suicidal to run operations using ZG. Yet civil servants, teachers, nurses, soldiers are receiving 3,000 ZG salaries, which barely cover basic groceries. Imagine being a qualified teacher, waking up every day to shape young minds, and going home with a salary that can't even buy cooking oil and maize meal. That is the Zimbabwean reality. Many civil servants are too afraid to speak. Their unions, once powerful voices, are now silent. Some say they have been compromised. Others fear losing their jobs or being labeled enemies of the state. Sikhala remarked, "They are happy to go home paid in ZIG that only exists in the air." This is a currency with no purchasing power, no international exchange, and no transparency. Perhaps Sikhala's most powerful statement was this: if Zvigananda refuses ZIG, who am I to accept it? This exposes a painful truth. Those in power don't live by the rules they enforce. The elites transact in US dollars. They don't suffer fuel shortages. Their children attend schools abroad, but ordinary citizens must pretend ZIG is real money. Let's now explore the big political question: can the opposition ever rule Zimbabwe? The Citizens Coalition for Change, CCC, under Nelson Chamisa, gave ZANU-PF a serious scare in the 2018 elections. Even under suspicious conditions, Chamisa won the majority urban vote and inspired millions of youth. But structural obstacles remain. The Zimbabwe Electoral Commission is seen as biased. The judiciary lacks independence. The military is still a ZANU stronghold. Yet, change is possible. Even in authoritarian systems, people power can shift the balance. Nelson Chamisa stepped back from frontline politics in early 2024 after declaring CCC had been hijacked from within. But behind the scenes, signs of his return are strong. Secret meetings with diaspora donors, rebuilding grassroots networks. Quiet. Consultations with war veterans and traditional leaders. Sources close to his team say Chamisa is preparing for a new party, something clean, fresh, and stronger than before. The youth still chant his name. The churches still sing his praises, and many believe he is the only one who can bring real change. Why would Mnangagwa be afraid of Chamisa? Chamisa represents everything Mnangagwa isn't. He's young and tech-savvy. He speaks the language of the people. He draws massive crowds without state funding. State media attacks him almost daily. His allies are harassed. His rallies are banned. That's not what you do to someone you don't fear. This is the most sensitive and explosive question. Traditionally, Zimbabwe's army and war veterans are ZANU-PF loyalists. But that loyalty is fading. Many war vets live in poverty. Some army officers are frustrated with corruption. Whispers from within the barracks suggest there is growing admiration for Chamisa's clean image and vision of national restoration. War veteran leader Chris Mutsvangwa once mocked Chamisa, but others are quietly saying, maybe it's time for the young blood to lead. If Chamisa can win over even a portion of the military and war vets, ZANU-PF's grip could break. Zimbabwe stands at a crossroads. On one side, a powerful but corrupt elite, the Zvigananda coalition, backed by questionable currency and a broken economy. On the other, a restless people looking for hope, for dignity, and for change. Chamisa may bounce back. Sikhala may rise again. The youth may refuse to remain silent, and if the war veterans and generals start to believe in a new future, the ground beneath ZANU-PF could shift forever. Zimbabwe deserves better, but first the truth must be told. This is State of Affairs, and you've been watching our deep dive into Zimbabwe's political reality. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.